Have you ever gone on YouTube and somehow missed a Christian Hannah horror video? Come over here to the right and click that little bell to be notified of every time I upload. Ladies and gentlemen, Christian Hannah Horror here. This is really special. You know, I've been on YouTube now for, wow, since 2012. I've always been a horror channel. I have been on, since 2012, I've been on there for 5 years. And this is my very first time ever reviewing the immortal classic of John Carpenter's Halloween. I've never reviewed it, or really ever. I don't think I've ever reviewed Halloween. And I'm so excited now that I'm going to get to talk to you guys about Halloween. So this is my review, and this is off the cuff, no rehearsal, it's straight from the heart, what I think about this movie. Halloween is a very... To think of what this room would be if Halloween had not been made. Look at this horror room with all these great horror movies and things around me I see. If this movie had not been made, there's a strong possibility that this room right here would not have happened. There may not have been Nightmare on Elm Street posters that I have on here. There may not have been, Chucky dolls, killer clowns. The history was forever changed, in my opinion, when Halloween happened. This movie is so special. John Carpenter to me is really a hero in the sense that the guy is all about taking something very simple and just giving it its max effort. John was never about, when he made Halloween, you got to realize, like, when you sit back and watch it and you realize how simplistic this is that you're watching. And it really is a magical film. Everything from just the music to using Nick Castle, who just had this straight up walk. He didn't do nothing crazy. He just walked. And it was horrifying. The mask. Everything about this movie is just fate personified. When you think about it, it's really crazy that this iconic mask, it was not something that was dreamt up for this movie. They took a William Shatner Star Trek mask and they painted it. Think about how all these magical things came together for this film to happen. It really blows my mind when I think about it. With Donald Pleasence, everybody said no for this Dr. Loomis role, but Donald said yes. He was not the first choice, but Donald did it. And nobody could have done what he did and made it as iconic as he did with his portrayal of Dr. Loomis. Mustafa was doing movies. Mustafa Khan, the producer, could have said no to this low-budget film, but he said yes. All these things that happened, it really is crazy. The budget on this movie, I believe, was $300,000. That's pennies for a movie. Pennies for a movie. And this movie grossed, I can't tell you how many millions of dollars. And it was such an experience. Halloween is an experience to the core. It's not just a horror movie. Halloween is a pure roller coaster ride. And I just wish that I could have seen it in the theaters back in the day. I really do. It's a shame that I can't. It's really hard to put into words how magical and how important the movie Halloween is. It's one of those instances where it's not a perfect film, but all those tiny imperfections in the movie make it absolutely perfect. There's things about that film that you would not change no matter what. There's that scene, of course, where you can see John's cigarette smoke come in. You wouldn't change that. You wouldn't change, when one of the girls trips over the dolly track in the scene. There's many imperfections, but this movie is perfect. And it really is just it's when you stop and think about all these things that came together to make this movie happen, it's insane, you know. So Halloween to me is, I'm so appreciative of the movie and what it did for horror movies. I'm so appreciative. Halloween will never die. It's one of the most incredible films. It's one of the most important films in the world. I really do think so. It's changed the course of horror movies. Who knows what would have happened had Halloween not come out? Who knows what would have happened? I fathom to think about it. I really do. But the legacy that John Carpenter did, Tommy Lee Wallace, Deborah Hill, God rest her soul, Mustafa Akkad, God rest his soul, all these people, the legacy that this movie created, and it's, if, for you guys out there, who love this movie, it's never going to go away in your lifetime. Your children, it's never going to go away in their lifetime. This movie is going to live forever. Nothing will ever compare to this, and that is such an incredible thing. Think about how often these types of movies happen, especially in horror. Not very often. Not very often. And, as ridiculous as it sounds, I'm glad just to be alive in the era that I'm in now that I can appreciate this. I can't imagine being alive and then dying before Halloween ever came out. I never would have got to experience it. I think about this movie every day of my life. At some point in my day, Halloween comes across my mind, as ridiculous as that sounds. John Carpenter is a hero of mine. As a musician, I'm in a rock band and I write music and my band writes music, and taking the essence of what John does is taking something that's simplified but just to the point and grabs your attention. That's the way I play music. That's the way I write music, and it affects me in every asset. It really does. Like, this movie is so important to me. And I want to close this review with something John said that I want us to all live by. John made mention in a documentary about Halloween. People keep trying to really figure out what makes this movie so great. Stop trying to figure it out, because maybe once we do, it'll go away. And let's not let that happen. So with that being said, this was my review for John Carpenter's Halloween. I know I didn't talk about the film. We've all seen it. You know how Christian Hannah Horror does reviews. This is a magical film, and I'm so appreciative that it was made. So, with that being said, I love Halloween. As you can see, I've got my shirt on. I love this movie. And we got a lot more films to go. But the best was first. I can say that. The best was first. Long live John Carpenter, and long live Halloween.